For decades, the American dream was owning a home. But with interest rates where they are in 2025, renting might actually be the smarter wealth-building move. I ran the numbers for 3 major cities, and the results are going to make you feel a lot better about renewing that lease. Here's what shocked me most. In Austin, Texas, the typical renter who invests their down payment money instead of buying a home could be worth $300,000 more after 10 years. $300,000. That's not a typo. The math has fundamentally changed, and most people are still using outdated financial advice from their parents' generation. We've been conditioned to believe that rent is throwing money away, that homeownership is always the path to wealth. But when mortgage rates hit 7% and home prices remain near historic highs, the traditional wisdom crumbles. Today, I'm going to show you the exact formula that real estate professionals use to determine when renting makes more financial sense than buying. We'll explore the opportunity cost of tying up hundreds of thousands in a down payment. And I'll reveal the hidden costs of home ownership that real estate agents never mention up front. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear mathematical framework for making the biggest financial decision of your life. The 5% rule is a simple mathematical formula that compares the unrecoverable costs of renting versus buying. Here's how it works. Take the purchase price of a home and multiply by 5%. If your annual rent is less than that number, renting wins financially. If it's more, buying might make sense. Let me show you this in action with real numbers from 3 major markets. In Denver, Colorado, the median home price is $800,000. 5% of that is $40,000 per year, or $3,300 per month. The average rent for a comparable property in the same neighborhood? $2,800. Since $2,800 is less than $3,300, renting wins by $500 monthly. That's $6,000 per year in your pocket. But the 5% rule goes deeper than just comparing monthly payments. That 5% represents the true cost of home ownership that you never get back. It includes property taxes, typically 1 to 2% annually. Homeowners insurance, averaging $1,000 to $1,500 per year. Maintenance and repairs, which housing experts estimate at 1 to 3% of home value annually. And here's the big one that most people miss: opportunity cost of your down payment. When you put 20% down on that $800,000 home, that's $160,000 that could be invested elsewhere. The 5% rule accounts for all these hidden costs. In San Antonio, Texas, I found an even more dramatic example. $700,000 homes with a 5% threshold of $35,000 annually. Comparable rentals? $24,000 per year. That's $11,000 in annual savings for renters, plus the investment opportunity on a $140,000 down payment. The formula reveals why so many financial advisors are quietly recommending renting to their high-net-worth clients in today's market. But the 5% rule is just the beginning. The real wealth-building opportunity comes from what you do with that down payment money instead. And when I show you the compound growth numbers over 10 years, you're going to understand why some of the smartest investors I know are choosing to rent in 2025. Here's where the math gets really interesting. Let's take that $160,000 down payment from our Denver example and see what happens when you invest it instead of buying a house. The S&P 500 has averaged 10.5% annual returns over the past 30 years. Even being conservative and assuming 8% returns, that down payment grows to $345,000 over 10 years. But remember, you're also saving $6,000 annually by renting instead of owning. Invest that monthly difference too, and you add another $87,000 to your portfolio. Total wealth after 10 years? $432,000. Compare that to home ownership. Yes, your $800,000 home might appreciate to $1.2 million over 10 years, assuming 3% annual growth. But subtract your original $800,000 purchase price, and your net gain is only $400,000. The renter who invested comes out $32,000 ahead. Plus, they maintained complete financial flexibility for an entire decade. Now, let's talk about those hidden costs that destroy the home ownership advantage. HVAC systems fail every 12 to 15 years. Replacement cost? $8,000 to $15,000. Roofing needs replacement every 20 to 25 years. Cost? $15,000 to $30,000 depending on size. Flooring, appliances, exterior painting, plumbing emergencies. The National Association of Home Builders estimates that homeowners spend an average of 2.5% of their home's value annually on maintenance and repairs. On an $800,000 home, that's $20,000 per year. But here's what really shocked me during my research. Property insurance rates have skyrocketed in 2024. In Florida, average homeowners' insurance jumped 42% in just 1 year. In Texas, rates increased 28%. Climate change and natural disasters are making homeownership insurance costs unpredictable and potentially unaffordable. Then there's the flexibility factor that no one puts a dollar value on. Sarah Chen, a software engineer in Austin, turned down a job offer in Seattle that would have increased her salary by $40,000 because she couldn't afford to sell her house in a down market. The transaction costs alone would have eaten up most of her first year's salary increase. Meanwhile, her friend Jake, who rented a similar property, took a remote job with a San Francisco company, moved to Portugal for lower living costs, and increased his savings rate to 60% of income. The financial flexibility of renting allowed him to optimize his career and lifestyle in ways that home ownership would have made impossible. Real estate agents love to talk about building equity, but they rarely mention that for the first 7 years of a 30-year mortgage, most of your payment goes to interest, not principal. On our $800,000 example with a 7% mortgage rate, you'd pay over $380,000 in interest over the life of the loan. That's nearly half the home's value going straight to the bank. So here's your action plan. First, run the 5% rule on any home you're considering. If annual rent is less than 5% of the purchase price, renting wins financially. Second, calculate the opportunity cost of your down payment. At 8% returns, every $100,000 invested becomes $216,000 in 10 years. Third, factor in your career flexibility needs. If there's any chance you'll want to relocate for better opportunities in the next 5 years, renting preserves that option. The American dream isn't dead, it's just evolved. In 2025, the smartest wealth-building move might be renting that dream home and investing the difference. What's your experience with the rent versus buy decision? Drop a comment below and let me know if these numbers changed your perspective.